Welcome to Ellen Ruth's Soap. I'm Ellen, and today we're not making soap, we're going to make candles, soy wax candles. And I'm going to be using these little 8-ounce tin vessels. I just love these. To me, this is the perfect size. Sometimes when I get candles and they're ginormous, I get kind of tired of the scent after a while. I like to mix it up a bit, so these for me is the perfect candle size, and they're just so cute. I get these on Amazon. I will leave a link in the description box below. And for the wicks, today I'm going to be using wooden wicks, and I'll show you how I put these together. They come disassembled. I got these from Be Scented, and I absolutely love this wick in this tin combo. And I'll talk about the soy wax that I'm using today. I'm going to be doing several different scents. I just went over to my fragrance shelves and was looking and just started pulling things that sounded good. Coming into the cooler months, December through whenever springtime is in your area, I was thinking of warm scents that I would just love to have in the house on a cold day. And so we're going to do several different scents. Today I am not going to be coloring these candles. To me, I love just a natural, color-free, creamy soy wax candle. I think it looks really beautiful. Now, I have colored my candles in the past, and they're gorgeous. You know, I love that. But today, I just didn't feel like it. So we're going to do uncolored wood wick candles today. So I have to get everything pulled together, get my scents all over here. We'll talk about the wax we're using, the fragrance load, all of that, and I'll show you how I assemble the wooden wicks. We'll get into the details. So let me get everything pulled together. We will come back and make some really beautiful soy wax candles. All right, we're back and ready to get rolling. This is my aluminum wax melting pot. I only use this for candle making and wax melts and things. This is not good for soap making because it's aluminum. So this is my melting pot. I'm going to put it on my scale here and tear out the numbers. And for the first scent that I'm making today, which is going to be Sweet Pea from Be Scented. And this smells so pretty, but it has a few notes on here about how it behaves in soap, and I love this fragrance on this, so I'm going to be making this in a candle form today. So for my first scent, I need 33 ounces of wax, and today I've got my big bag over here. Sorry about the glare. This is Golden Wax 464. It's 100% soy, and it's good for containers. This is not a pillar wax. And I love this wax for a beginner for a beginner candle maker. This is such a nice wax, so easy to work with. I do buy this in bulk. I got these big bags, I think from Be Scented. Brambleberry carries it, Nature's Garden, so many other distributors. It's such a popular basic soy wax for container candles. It's just wonderful. So let me measure out here. I need 33 ounces. I'm going to be making 6 tins in each scent. All right, so I've got 33 ounces of the golden wax in here. I'm just going to set it on my burner here and let it melt down slowly. It's got a pretty low melting point, so the meltdown process is not that long of a process. And I have my point and shoot thermometer. So for the 646 golden wax soy that I'm using today, I want to heat this up to about 185 to 190. And then let it cool down a little bit, maybe 185, put the fragrance in, and it says to pour it at a cooler temperature. So I'm going to be pouring this at about 165 degrees. That's when I will pour it in the containers. So while this is melting, let me get my containers and the wicks, and we'll talk about that as this is melting down. All right, let me just show you. These are just basic glue dots. This is how I stick my wood wick down into the containers. You can use a hot glue gun. There's several other things. I just buy these super inexpensive glue dots. They work perfectly fine for me. So that's what I'm going to be using to adhere these. Let me show you. I got these wicks from Be Scented, and they're two different kinds. You get a dark, this is a hardwood and a softwood, and you pair them together. Let me show you. I absolutely love how this wick combination and these tins that I'm going to show you work together for candle making. I have never had a big issue. I absolutely love the pairing. Last year I made candles in these little containers with a single wick, and I wasn't happy with the performance on them. Sorry, let me get this out. There we go. They come wrapped up in here, so trying to muscle out. I have a bunch of them already pre-made over to the side. So you take your softwood and your hardwood and you put them together, and then you take one of your little clips here, just like a little pinchy clip, and stick them in. I find if I go in at a little bit of an angle first, get a corner down, and then flat, it goes real easy. And there it is. It's all ready to go. And now I am going to snip the top of these, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let me show you my little containers again. This is an 8-ounce container, and I fill up to that little crease right there. That's my fill line on these. So when I trim the wick, that's what I'm looking for on these containers. So these little wicks were actually specifically made for these containers. If I didn't trim it at all, I could still fit the lid on, no problem. But what I like to do is trim these just a little. This is just a regular pair of scissors. You don't need any special equipment, anything fancy. And I start right at the, let me show you, right at the very top corner and go at a teeny bit of an angle. And I clip it into the container there. So it's just at the tiniest bit of an angle. That is how I like to prep my wicks, and that is all ready to go. I think it gives it a nice lighting edge, and that is how I do it. So I'm going to get all of my wicks here pre-tabbed up, get them trimmed at an angle, and then we'll go ahead and use our glue dots and start sticking them in the containers. All right, I've got my tins here for the first batch. I've got my little trimmed up wicks all ready to go. And the way I do it is I just, whoops, it's kind of curly, but I peel that back and I set this on the little glue tab and sort of peel it up. There we go. It's got a glue tab on there, and then I just eyeball the center. Usually pretty good, but this sticks it on there really nice, and as I pour the hot wax, it will stay adhered in there. So very, very simple, which I love. All right, let me get the rest of these tabbed up. All right, in the amount of time it took to do that, which was just a few minutes, this is almost all the way melted down, and then we'll get it up to a nice hot 190 degrees. But look how quickly that melts down. So we'll be back when it's completely melted here. Let's take the temperature and see what we've got. And I always recommend stirring first before you take the temperature in case there's a hot spot or a cool spot. 199.2. Perfect. We're going to let this just start the cool down process. When it gets under 185, I'm going to go ahead and throw my fragrance in here, and let me talk about fragrance load. So for this wax, Golden Wax 464, the recommended percentages is anywhere in the range of 7% to about 11% is what they recommend. That's the fragrance load that this wax can handle. I'm going to fragrance at 10%. So I have 33 ounces in here. It's going to be 3.3 ounces of fragrance that I'm putting in here. And for me, it really depends on what fragrance I'm using. You know how some fragrances, when you open them up, they're just, whoa, in your face, very potent? I would probably go with 7% on a fragrance like that. And some, like this Sweet Pea, it's very gentle. It's just lovely, kind of floral. And so I'm going with a 10% on the higher end because I really want this to have a great, scent when it burns. And putting extra fragrance in your candle doesn't always translate into a more fragrant candle. There's a lot of science that goes into candle making, and again, I am not an expert at candle making by any stretch of the terms. I am a novice candle maker. I do love them, I use them, and love to make them, but there are so many excellent candle makers here on YouTube that really have the waxes and things. They blend their waxes and they know exactly the right ratio of fragrance for each kind of wax, and I'm so impressed. I mean, it is a whole science unto itself. So even though this project is very simple, don't underestimate how complex candle making can be. I am not making a complicated candle. So this wax particularly is great in these containers because these are not see-through. These are not glass jars. When you have a glass jar, you have to worry about glass adhesions and getting the little sort of frosty looking on the sides, and that is a whole, you know, thing. I used to do mason jar candles, and you know, you'd warm the candle jars up in the oven to try and reduce the frosting, and then you have to have the right wax ratio. So this is very simple. I love these containers for that reason. This wax is just very easy to use, but yeah, it's quite a science. So today I'm doing a very basic version, but I love it. So let's take the temperature again as I'm chatting and see how we've cooled down, or if we've even cooled down a little. All right. 186. I'm happy. Let's go ahead and throw this fragrance in here. Again, I have 3.3 ounces of fragrance, and it is very important to stir your fragrance very well into your hot wax. So you want to, you know, stir for, gosh, at least a minute or two. So I like to go one direction just really, really well, and then pause, and then I'll go the other direction really, really well. This does its whole thing. Boy, it smells good. As soon as that fragrance hits the warm wax, it just has a beautiful scent. The sweet pea fragrance is lovely. And I'm not a floral fan, but this one is beautiful. So now I'm going to let this continue to cool a little, and of course this stirring is going to help cool down a little faster along. To about 170 to 165 is when they recommend pouring this wax into the vessels. And then these will get pushed off to the side, and I will remeasure and make my next batch through. I do each batch at a time because, again, I'm not making massive quantities. I'm doing them in 6 candle batches, and I just like to take my time and do them one at a time. That's how I roll. I don't have one of the big melting pots or anything fancy. I'm pretty small scale. Getting close, 172. I'm just going to stir this for a bit more, and then we'll get to pouring. And I am saving the safety labels and, of course, the label for what the product is that I will be putting on the lid for after all the pouring is done, just in case there's drips or any mess like that. I don't, you know, you don't want to get wax on your labels. So I save the labels for the very last step after these are fully cooled. So again, I like to pour right to that little rim around the top here. For me, it's the perfect marker, and you'll see the wax sort of, what's it called, absorbing into the wooden wicks. It sort of is a little spongy. It sucks it in. It's really cool. All right, let me pour these where you can see. Just in case there's a drip, I like to hold a paper towel under the lip. And this is hot wax. You want to be careful. I would not want this to spill on my skin. That would be very unpleasant. This is the next day. I just walked away after I made all the batches, and there's more off camera here, and just let them set overnight to fully cool, and now it's time to put the labels on these. So first I have the safety labels. These come, you can get them in white, you can get them in craft color, you can get big ones, little ones. It's just a standard candle warning label. Pretty much anywhere you get candle supplies, they will also have warning labels. You can get these on Amazon. They're very easy to find, and you must put these on your candles. You really do need to put a warning label on. So I like the craft ones. It goes with my theme. These are kind of have a homespun, I wouldn't say rustic, but you know, very homey look about them. So I like the craft color. Super simple. I mean, they're just self-adhesive. You take your candle and you just center it on the bottom, and there. Now you're covered. You got your warning label on there. Good to go. So I will get these all labeled up. And now let me show you what I like to do on my candles. I do not put a label on the side. I put them on the lid. And these are, again, 8-ounce tins. This is a 6-ounce candle. It's actually a generous amount. It's a little more than 6 ounces. But these are 6-ounce candles in an 8-ounce tin. It just works out that way. Trust me. So my labels have 6 ounces on here for the weight. When you make a candle label, you need to say what it is. So it says on here that this is a wood wick 100% soy candle, and that it's made in Tennessee. It's 6 ounces. What the scent description is. All the pertinent information is on here. These labels are from Avery. And I designed this label on the Avery.com website. So this was all done on Avery. So let me show you how I do this. This scent is pumpkin walnut biscotti. To me, I just smell toasted biscotti, and so that's what I named these, toasted biscotti. So I'm going to lid up my candle, take my label, center it on here, and there it is. I just think that is so cute, very simple. I think it just is perfect. The other thing about candles, and this is one of those funny things, when I very first started making candles, I'm like, oh, come on, really? You have to cure a candle? You know what? You really do need to cure candles. Just for about a week. They just simply burn better. The scent throw is better. It's highly recommended. So I'm going to get these all labeled up, lidded up, and they will go sit on my curing rack. With the soaps, they'll have their own tray. They'll go to the curing rack for about a week before they go up into the shop, because it just makes for a better burn. So just on a side note, one of the challenges of not coloring my candles is that they all kind of look the same. Now they do smell different, but I like to just leave the fragrance bottle near the cluster of each candle so that I can reference and make sure I get the right labels on the right candles. So when you color your candles, it can make it a little easier. But anyway, that's my pro tip. I keep the fragrance bottle near that so I know what scent I'm dealing with each time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you have a really wonderful day.